It was completely dark yesterday. The external electric power was connected to the room and the lights were switched on. Major concern about the number 1 reactor is its pressure and temperature. Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency said this morning the reactor needed to be closely watched as pressure inside its containing vessel was rising. The temperature in the reactor yesterday was found to have reached 400 degrees, about 100 degrees higher than the expected level. The power company increased the volume of seawater pumped into the reactor to cool it. But this move raised the pressure inside the containment vessel. When the water volume was reduced at around 2:30 a.m., the rise in pressure was curbed. The agency said that around 3 p.m., a rise in pressure had been curbed after less water was pumped into the reactor. The agency was concerned that this would cause the reactor's temperature to rise, but says as a result of this action, the temperature actually fell. It says the number 1 reactor needs to be closely monitored, although it is now stable. Cooling this reactor is a very difficult task, as the temperature and pressure of the reactor need to be delicately balanced during cooling.
In the studio, we have Professor Koji Okamoto from the Graduate School of the University of Tokyo, who is knowledgeable about nuclear plant structure, and also our commentator Noriyuki Mizuno. First, Mr. Mizuno, beta ray burns is an unfamiliar word. What does this mean? Well, the workers are not showing any symptoms yet. However, the doctor on site confirmed that there were beta rays that may affect the people who are working there. Therefore, that is why he has said that it is beta ray burns. However, radiation could be divided into several different things. Alpha rays, beta rays, and gamma rays, and also neutron radiation are some typical radiation. And the beta ray, in terms of penetration power, it will go through paper. However, it will be blocked by an aluminum foil 1 millimeters thick. And compared to gamma rays and neutron radiation, the penetration power is very low. However, the energy is quite high, and if this affects the skin, the tissues could be damaged. Beta ray burns, the symptoms can differ depending on the amount of radiation. The skin may turn red after a few days, and if in more serious cases, it may form blisters, and in some cases, the tissue necrosis can occur. It was known that radioactive substances were found from their skin. Therefore, they were taken to the hospital for treatment. So they were taken to a hospital specializing in radiation injury treatment. There is a hospital designated to treat patients like that nearby the power plant, so they were taken there. Now, the radiation level was 173 millisieverts to 180 millisieverts, and they were irradiated over a very short time. So this is quite high, isn't it? Yes. For workers in nuclear power plants, usually the limit is 50 millisieverts. However, in emergency cases, the limit is raised to 100 millisieverts. And for this accident, because we are assuming that it may take some time until we come to a solution, the level has been raised to 250 millisieverts. But of course, radiation, the effect of that will differ depending on if you are irradiated over a very long period or if you are irradiated by very high levels at one time. If you are exposed at one time, acute symptoms may occur. And in this case, We hear that they were working for about 40 minutes and the level was 180 millisieverts. Of course, this hasn't reached the 200 millisieverts, that is the limit, but if they were exposed to this in just one stint, it may cause some questions. It may lead to some questions whether or not there were appropriate exposure management on site. It seems that this may affect the work on site. But where were they affected, Professor Okamoto? Well, it wasn't the reactor building, but the turbine building, which is next door to the reactor building. This building is an area which does not have high radiation normally. And we hear that there were puddles of water inside. Usually this building has no water in it. But still, the radiation level of the water in the puddle was quite high. We don't know where the water came from yet. I believe there will be a survey to be conducted from now on. And so nobody was assuming that people will be working as they were in water. No. But I think because of the emergency, people were fighting against time, therefore they had to carry out the work. And they will be surveying where the water came from. And probably from now on, the workers will be cautioned not to step inside water that may have high radiation. So safety measures, were they enough? That may be another question. That the workers have now been taken to hospitals, and of course there is work being carried out to recover a power supply. This case may affect the work on site. Yes. Some of the workers were asked to evacuate from the area, therefore the power supply restoration activities and also trying to recover the water cooling system, these may be delayed. And yesterday we saw black smoke coming out of one of the buildings, and that also delayed the work for about half a day. And now we have this exposure situation. And before that, the safety management of workers, how is this being handled? As we listen to the news conferences, they were saying that they hadn't measured the radiation level before the work happened, and they said that the previous day there was no water. They thought it was okay. However, the water was about 15 centimeters deep. They only had ankle-deep boots on, not longer boots. And that's why water could have seeped in. So is the site and work really being managed, or is it left all up to the workers? That is the question that comes to mind. The manager of the radiation level will have to first confirm the environment where the workers are to work in, to measure the radiation level first, and make sure that the workers have appropriate protective gears, and instruct the workers about the work to be handled in the area. So it seems that a firm system will have to be in place, or else there will be more delays in the work. And we hope that TEPCO will carry that out. So safety management as the work is handled is the key here. And now, Professor Okamoto, it seems that bit by bit, power supply is being recovered, and we are seeing some progress. So what are you focusing on right now? Well, there are 4 reactors that have many problems. Reactor number 1, 2, 3, these are where the problems are occurring in the reactor. And as we've heard already, for reactor 1, the reactor surface temperature is up to 400 degrees at one time. And so seawater was injected. The temperature went down, however, the pressure went up. And so they are now controlling the amount of water being injected, and as of 11 a.m. today, the pressure is still rather high. However, the temperature has come down compared to the maximum, the height of 400 degrees Celsius. So you don't want the pressure and the temperature both going up, but it seems that one goes up and the other goes down. Well, with cooling water, usually would find the temperature and the pressure going down. However, We don't know what the condition of the core is right now, and so people are trying to bring a balance to the situation. If the flow rate increases, it may affect the temperature or the pressure inside, so they are keeping a very delicate balance as they carry out the operation. And also for reactor number 3, the temperature was quite high several days ago, but the flow rate and the amount of water being injected is being adjusted. And so from reactor 1 through 3, the pressure and the temperature will have to be monitored as seawater is injected. And the current situation of all the reactors and what may happen from now on. Reactors 1 and 3, the lighting in the central control rooms came on, and now it will become much easier to take measurements and readings on the panel. The reactor cooling. For reactor number 3, we had a tragic incident, and so but they were trying to pump in fresh water into reactor number 3. And how do you see this situation? Well, the goal here, of course the absolute goal would be that all the reactors will come to a cold shutdown. But up until this point, several steps will have to be taken. And so bit by bit work is being carried out. So reactor number 4, this one, you don't have to worry about this. You only have to cool the spent nuclear fuel storage pool. Now, so far, the lightings have come on the central control rooms. The work is being delayed here, but of course, exposure management will have to be done. And if the pumping system is connected to the power, then coolant water can be pumped in. And it seems that it's taking time with reactor number 1 and 2. But once again here, if the water pumping system could be activated, then the fuel storage pools also could be cooled with that pump. So bit by bit, like climbing a ladder, we are making progress with the work. So reactor number 1, the temperature and the pressure of the reactor was a problem. And for reactor number 2, the radiation level here is rather high. So caution is necessary here, yes. There are several different pumps that could be utilized. So if workers can go into the areas with lower levels of radiation and restore the power, that may lead to a solution. And for reactor number 4, the spent nuclear fuel pool should be cooled while work to restore electricity goes on. Yes, water injection is being carried out with the concrete pumping truck. And I understand that water injection occurred today, so continuing on with this work, further work should be carried out so that the pumps inside could be reactivated to carry out stable cooling of all the systems. And if stable cooling could be carried out, that's not really the end, is it? No. First goal is to start these cooling systems so that water can continuously flow to the reactors and the spent fuel pool. But then there is this loop where there's a system to cool the cooling water. So all the heat will have to be taken away so that the temperature is lower than 100 degrees in all the reactors. So one bit by bit and step by step. Thank you very much.